A very warm welcome to everyone joining today's session. I'm Sibi from the Zoho Books team, and I'll be guiding you through this webinar. Our focus today will be on exploring the various features and options available in Zoho Books for efficiently managing payables. Let's get started and dive right into the session. So this will be the agenda for today's session. We'll be covering all the key options within Zoho Books that can help you effectively track your company's purchases and payables. These features can be incredibly useful for streamlining your business operations. Why is it important to track payables for an organization? Tracking payables, such as expenses and purchases, is a crucial part of managing any business. It gives you a clear understanding of how much is being spent on procurement and helps in evaluating the overall profitability of your organization. With Zoho Books, this process becomes much simpler thanks to the range of features it offers to manage all payable transactions efficiently and effectively. Now, let's continue the session with a quick example to understand the concepts better. Zilker, the owner of a thriving kitchen cutlery company, faced a growing challenge. His business involved purchasing raw materials from various vendors, processing and preparing the goods, and finally selling the finished products to customers. For a long time, different teams assigned to each of these crucial processes were manually tracking everything in spreadsheets. This system had been increasingly hectic and prone to errors, especially when manually entering data for commodity purchases from vendors. Recognizing the inefficiencies and potential for mistakes, Zilker and his team decided it was time to adopt a dedicated bookkeeping platform to streamline their operations. However, Zilker was uncertain about which product would best suit their needs for effectively managing these records. Fortunately, the solution was already within reach. The sales team at Zilker had been successfully utilizing Zoho Books to keep track of their sales activities and suggested it could be an ideal platform for managing the entire business process from vendor purchases to customer sales. Zilker and team decides to start using Zoho Books and wants to bring in all the vendor details from whom purchases are made or payments are issued for fulfilling the business needs. To help Zilker with this, Zoho Books offers different ways to add vendor information. Let's walk through each of these options one by one. The side panel on the left is called the transaction panel. From there, you can manage both sales and the purchase transactions. To input vendor records, navigate to Purchases, Vendors. Here, you can manually enter all your vendor details. This allows you to associate information such as their contact details, including email address and phone number, billing and shipping addresses, and payment terms. If you wish to set up custom rates for purchases from the vendors, you can also associate price lists with them. Additionally, Zilker's team is also exploring the option to include additional fields on the vendor creation page, allowing them to add specific details to vendor records. To achieve this, they can create custom fields by navigating to Settings, Preferences, Customers and Vendors, and then selecting Field Customization. From there, custom fields can be created and added, which will then appear when adding a new vendor to organization. So let me now show that for you. So you'll have to head on to Settings, where you can find the Preferences section, under which you can find the Customers and Vendors option. So now Zilker wants to add information to their vendor records about the primary type of item they generally purchase from each vendor. This way, when they later export vendor data or generate reports, they can easily segregate vendors based on the purchase item type. So to have this done, you'll have to click on Press New Custom Field and have your custom field created. So we have now created a custom field named Purchase Item Type as a drop-down field. So coming back to the vendor creation page, this will allow Zilker team to easily associate this information with each vendor record when creating a new vendor. Zoho Books also offers an additional functionality to manage subcontractors' details. Furthermore, you can manage the 1099 payments you wish to track for subcontractors. This enables you to generate reports like 1099 MISC and 1099 NEC directly within the Zoho Books application. If you plan to add multiple vendor records at once, instead of manual creation, you can import them in a single file. To do this, click the three-dotted icon in the top right corner of the screen and select the import option. You will then need to choose the file containing your vendor details. Ensure that the file you are importing is in either CSV, TSV, or XLS format. You can also download the sample file provided on the import page itself. This will help you ensure that your file format matches the sample, allowing for a smooth data import without any discrepancies. Within the vendor creation page, you can also grant vendor portals access, a feature available in Zoho Books. So to learn more about the vendor portal, you will need to navigate to Settings, Preferences, Vendor Portal, and configure the portal in your Zoho Books organization. This dedicated vendor portal allows them to view and access transactions. So once you invite your vendor to the portal, they will receive a link. Upon accessing this link, they will land on this particular page. With vendor portal access, they can perform various actions such as uploading documents for verification and bill conversion, viewing the purchase orders and accept them, and generating statements for accounts. So all this can be done by accessing the vendor portal at their end. Once your vendor are successfully added to your Zoho Books organization, Zilker's team will be ready to record transactions. For businesses primarily involved in commodity purchases, Zoho Books allows the recording of purchase orders, a document that a buyer issues to a seller indicating information about the items they want to buy, their quantities, and their prices. You can have this done by heading on to Purchases, Purchase Order, and start tracking the purchase order in Zoho Books. If vendor portal access is configured, these purchase orders will be visible to the corresponding vendors within their portal. Vendors can then view and indicate acceptance of these orders. Now let me show you the process of creating a purchase order. So to create a purchase order, you'll first have to head on to the Purchases section where you can find the purchase order module. So by clicking on the plus icon, you'll be able to create a new purchase order. So in the purchase order creation page, you can associate the details like the vendor name, the delivery address, purchase order number, the items that you are going to purchase from your vendor, and you can either save it as draft so that it can be reviewed by the other users of your organization, or save and send so that it can be sent via email to your vendors from the Zoho Books application. Once a purchase order is accepted by the vendor, it can be converted into a bill transaction within Zoho Books organization. This vendor bills allow you to record payments you make to vendor in the Zoho Books organization. So you can directly convert an accepted purchase order into a bill, eliminating the need for manual data entry. Alternatively, you can also create a fresh bill as per your specific requirement. You can enter the details like the vendor name, bill number, bill date, payment terms for the bill, and include the items that you're going to purchase from your vendor. And once after entering the details, you can either save it as draft so that it can be reviewed by the other users of your organization, or save it as open in your organization. Additionally, when Zilker creates a bill, especially considering they source items from various parts of the country and incur extra expenses like fragile cat transportation to their factory, accurate cost tracking is essential. In this scenario, Zilker can effectively utilize the landed cost feature in Zoho Books to add these supplementary expenses directly to the vendor bills, providing a complete view of the actual cost of acquiring the goods. Furthermore, if they also wish to include all costs involved in bringing a product such as freight, shipping charges, customs, and other procurement expenses, Zilker can conveniently add these as landed costs while creating bill in Zoho Books. When adding landed costs to vendor bills in Zoho Books, you have flexibility in how you allocate these expenses. You can either add the landed cost as a separate line item, applying it proportionally to the entire bill amount, or you can choose to allocate specific landed costs to individual items within the bill. Furthermore, if you have already added landed costs to a bill but haven't distributed them among the items, Zoho Books allows you to go back and perform this allocation at a later stage. This ensures accurate cost tracking at both the bill and individual items. Once you create a bill transaction of your vendor in Zoho Books, you can either manually track the payment for it or pay your vendor directly from your Zoho Books account. So once you have your bills recorded in Zoho Books, there are three possible ways to track payment for it. Let's say you have already made the payment to your vendor and you just wish to have it tracked in Zoho Books. Then you can just click on the record payment button, which allows you to manually track the payment for bill. So you can associate the details like the amount, the payment date, payment mode, and then hit on save so that the payment gets automatically updated for a bill. Or we do have integration with Forte Payment Gateway, which allows you to pay your vendor via ACH. So by configuring the Forte Payment Gateway to your Zoho Books account, it is possible for you to make ACH payment to your vendor from the Zoho Books application itself. Also, it is possible for you to write checks for the bill transaction that you record within the Zoho Books application. So by clicking on Pay via Check button, it is possible for you to print checks for the bills that you record within the Zoho Books application. There might be instances where Zilker's company receives a damaged shipment from a vendor who then issues a credit note. In Zoho Books, Zilker would record this as a vendor credit for that vendor, signifying that the vendor owes this amount. This credit can then be applied to future bills from the same vendor, requested as refund, or remain as an outstanding credit on their account. So tracking this vendor credits ensures Zilker doesn't pay for the damaged goods and maintain accurate accounts payable, effectively managing the funds owed to them by their supplier. So you can have this vendor credits recorded by updating the detail like the vendor name, the note number, and the date, and you can also include the items for which you wish to issue the vendor credit. And you can either save it as draft so that it can be reviewed, or you can save it as open in your Zoho Books application. So once after recording a vendor credit, it is possible for you to apply the credits to the open bills that you have for the vendor within the Zoho Books application. So far, we have explored how Zilker can manage the procurement of their kitchen cutlery materials using Zoho Books, from adding vendors and recording bills to handling landed costs and vendor credits. Beyond the direct cost of goods, Zilker's team will also incur various operational expenses to improve their business. For instance, their sales team might travel to meet potential clients or attend industrial events, incurring cost of travel, food, and lodging. Sometimes these expenses might need to be reimbursed to track employees. Zoho Books allows Zilker to track all such expenses, including recurring ones, for comprehensive financial oversight. When managing these expenses transaction in Zoho Books, Zilker's team can simply record an expense and associate it with the relevant vendor, like hotel or travel agency, or even customer if the expense is related to a specific sale. Additionally, for Zilker's employees who travel for business using their own vehicles, Zoho Books offers a convenient way to track and calculate expenses based on the distance traveled. The system allows them to record the kilometers or miles covered, and by setting a predefined mileage rate, Zoho Books can automatically calculate the reimbursable expense. For Zilker's growing team, managing expenses is efficiently a key. While Zoho Books offers basic expense tracking, businesses with a more frequent or complex expense reporting might find our dedicated application Zoho Expense incredibly beneficial. By integrating Zoho Expense with Zoho Books, Zilker can avoid the tedious task of manually entering Zia's travel expenses into their accounting software. The approved expenses from Zoho Expense are automatically accounted for in Zoho Books, saving time, reducing errors from double entry, and providing a more streamlined and the comprehensive view of their overall financial health. So let's now delve into the expense management options available in Zoho Books. So you can have your expenses recorded by heading onto the Purchases module, where you can find the expense option. So by clicking on plus new icon, you can have your expenses recorded. So this would be the expense creation page, where you can update the details like the date when it is recorded. If it is for an employee, you can have your employee added. You can choose the account under which you wish to track the expense, amount value, and it is possible for you to choose both the vendor and the customer for whom the expenses are being tracked. In case of choosing a customer, it is possible for you to mark it as a billable expense so that later when you create an invoice for this customer, you can have the expense associated with the invoice so that you can collect the payment directly from your customer. You can click on mileage expense option to track mileage expenses. Mileage can be calculated based on distance traveled and odometer reading. If you enter the distance traveled, the expense is calculated based on the mileage rate. Similarly, if you enter the start and end readings of the odometer, the distance will be calculated based on the difference of end reading and start reading. You can also update the rate per mile value as per your preference, and the expense amount is then calculated based on the mileage rate. Imagine this. Zilker's sales team member, Zia, travels frequently to meet clients. Using Zoho Expense on her phone, she can easily snap photos of hotel bills and mileage logs, which are automatically recorded and categorized. Once her manager approves these expenses in Zoho Expense, the integration between Zoho Books and Zoho Expense seamlessly pushes through approved expenses directly into Zoho Books. So the integration has to be done from the Zoho Books side. Once after heading onto settings, you'll have to go to the integration and marketplace section where you can find the Zoho apps category. So by heading on to this option, it is possible for you to integrate Zoho Books with multiple Zoho applications so that there will be a seamless integration. So you can activate the Zoho Expense integration from here. And once Zoho Books and Zoho Expense are integrated, when you click on the expenses option in Purchases module, you'll have to click on the title and change the filter to From Zoho Expense. All the expenses recorded in Zoho Expense application will get synced into Zoho Books and gets listed over here. Now that we have recorded and tracked transactions in Zoho Books, let's consider a scenario where multiple people in your organization are entering data. Zilker might want an approval system to double check everything and ensure accuracy and cost control. The approvals feature in Zoho Books is excellent for preventing mistakes and ensuring costs are managed effectively. For example, if you have set up approvals for purchase order transaction by heading on to Settings, Purchases, Purchase Orders, Approvals, and opt the preference, when you or a team member creates a purchase order, you can choose the approval preference. This means purchase order tracked in Zoho Books will await approval before proceeding further. This can either be a simple approval or a hierarchical approval depending on the company's workflow. Similarly, approvals can be configured for all type of purchase transactions tracked in Zoho Books. Let me show you an example. So in a purchase order, you'll find Submit for Approval option as an approval was configured earlier. So once by clicking on Submit for Approval, you can submit the purchase order for approval. As approval option was configured earlier, if you wish to approve it, you can simply click the Approve button to proceed. So as mentioned, there are three possible ways to set up approvals. They are simple approval, multi-approval, and you can also set notification preference. So far, we have seen the manual processes for creating purchase transactions and recording expenses in Zoho Books. But if you wish to automate these entire processes, they can also be achieved. Let's now discuss the options. In Zoho Books, it is also possible to manage all purchase transactions in an automated manner through various options such as auto-scan, email forwarding, and recurring transactions features, which can eliminate the manual effort involved in managing these transactions. Instead of manually inputting expenses each time, Zilker's team can also utilize the Upload Expense option. Alternatively, they can configure the Receipt Inbox feature, which allows details to be automatically captured from an image when a receipt is captured or uploaded from a mobile device and then recorded as an expense transaction. In the side panel, you can find a section called Documents. Here, you can upload all your documents into your Zoho Books organization. Subsequently, these documents can be associated with transactions recorded in Zoho Books. Within the Documents module, we also have an important feature called Auto-Scan. This feature captures data from files imported into your Zoho Books organization. Once the documents are uploaded, they will be automatically scanned, and data such as the date, amount, and merchant name will be extracted and auto-populated when creating new transactions. Furthermore, If you want vendors to send documents directly to your Zoho Books organization, this is also possible. Zoho Books lets you establish a dedicated email address for receiving documents directly from vendors. You can either use the readily available system-generated email address or create a customized email address by clicking on Choose Your Own. Once you have configured the unique email address for your organization, you or your contacts can email files to the address and they will appear in your inbox. So in a scenario where Zilker purchases from a particular vendor on a regular basis, the vendor can simply forward the receipt to the configured email address. This will automatically update the receipt in the Documents folder within Zoho Books, from where it can then be easily converted into a bill. The automation options in Zoho Books enable you to create rules that trigger actions automatically. By establishing workflow rules in Zoho Books, you can automate tasks like sending emails, updating fields, and triggering webhooks or custom functions. Furthermore, you can create schedules for these workflow rules and view logs of executed workflows. Once the defined conditions are met, the workflow rule will execute automatically. You can have this done by heading onto Settings, and then you can find a section called Automation, and you'll have to click on the workflow rules. So we have also set up an automation in this books organization for the demonstration purpose. So Zilker and his team have configured the purchase order module such that whenever a purchase order is created, an approval process will take place before it proceeds further. Now, Zilker would like to implement an automation to auto-approve bills and vendor credits based on their value. Specifically, if the purchase order value is less than $1,000, it should be auto-approved, and if it exceeds the amount, it should be sent for a manual approval. To achieve this, Zilker and his team have utilized the custom function option within Zoho Books. They wrote a script to handle this specific requirement, implemented it within the system, and then defined the criteria by setting up a workflow rule. This workflow rule automates the approval process based on the purchase order value. So this is how the workflow rule can be set up. So you'll have to update the action type, and once after having it done, you can choose the criteria, and if the criteria is satisfied, you can select the immediate action that you wish to perform in Zoho Books. It is also possible for Zilker to automate reminders for the transactions they track in Zoho Books. The application allows for both automated and manual reminders, which can be configured based on the expected payment date and due date of the transaction. For bills received, Zilker can also set up reminders to make payments. So to have this done, you'll have to click on the gear icon on the top right corner, in which he can find the reminders and notifications section, where he can set up the reminders. Once configured by the administrator, users in the account will receive email reminders on or before the due date. These reminders can be scheduled based on either the due date or the expected payment date of a bill. As for the template customization, Zoho Books allows you to either make changes to the existing template of a transaction. This can be done by navigating to Settings, Customization, PDF templates, and editing a template, or you can utilize one of the multiple template options already available within the application for the transactions recorded. So this template customization is available for all the transactions that you record within the Zoho Books application. Additionally, Zoho Books also offers various reporting options including payable reports, purchase and expenses reports, tax reports, which can provide a quick overview of the purchase transaction you track within the application. And that concludes the overview of purchase transaction management option available in Zoho Books. So far, we have discussed all the options available in Zoho Books to manage purchase transactions, including purchase order and bill recording, as well as customization and automation features. Now, if you are looking for more advanced requirements, such as directly onboarding your vendors into Zoho Books and having the system automatically cross-check and approve them for further processing, and automatically compare items for mismatches between the transaction, then Zoho Books has recently launched an add-on called the BillPay add-on. Enabling this add-on for your organization will further streamline the process of managing purchase transactions. The very first and important feature in the BillPay add-on is vendor onboarding. This feature is available within BillPay add-on in Zoho Books. Using it, you can invite vendors via their email address. They will receive an invitation email containing a portal link. The vendor can then sign up for the portal using that email and provide the necessary details. So to have this done, you'll have to head on to the purchase section and vendors, where you'll have to click on the drop down and click on invite vendor option. So by entering the display name and the email address, an invite email will be sent out from the application. So the vendor will be getting the link, and by accessing the link, they can update the details like the organization detail, the address detail, and bank detail, so that it gets reflected automatically in the Zoho Books application. Once your vendor has filed in their details and submitted for them approval, you can verify the information and approve them. If a vendor has not provided all the requested details, you can ask them to fill in the missing information, and this can be done for vendors in the invited vendor section. Also, if a vendor does not provide the details you have requested, or they don't meet your business requirements, you can reject them. Also, you can disable vendor onboarding if it is not required for your organization. You can have this done by heading on to Settings, Vendor Portal under Preferences, and uncheck the option called Collect Vendors Organization Details when they sign up for portal. So by having this done, you can disable the vendor onboarding feature for your books organization. The second important option in the BillPay add-on is approvals for vendors. Using this feature, once a vendor detail is submitted in Zoho Books, an approval will be required for the confirmation of the details. You can verify the information provided, and upon successful verification, approve the vendor, thereby adding them to Zoho Books. If the submitted details do not meet your business requirements, you can reject the vendor directly within the application. To configure this, you'll have to head on to Settings, Preferences, Customers and Vendors, and Vendor Approvals. With simple vendor approval, any administrator or approver can approve vendors, and further actions can be performed after the vendor is approved. In contrast, multi-level approvals allows you to set up 10 levels of approval. Further actions can only be performed when all the selected approvers have approved the vendor. With the BillPay add-on enabled for your Zoho Books organization, your vendor can also upload invoices for purchase order directly through the vendor portal. This allows you to easily refer to these invoices and convert them into bills directly within Zoho Books. Once a purchase order is issued and vendor accepts it in the portal, it is possible for them to upload the invoices. You can then view this uploaded document in Unbilled Document section of the corresponding purchase order detail page, as well as in the Uploaded Documents tab of the Bill module. Purchase order matching is the fourth option available in the BillPay add-on of the Zoho Books application. This feature involves the process of matching the details of a bill with the corresponding purchase order. This enables organization to ensure that the bill accurately reflects what was ordered. It also helps the organizations save time by reducing the potential for errors associated with the manual data entry. To check this, you'll first need to navigate to Purchases on left side bar and select Bills. After which you'll have to click on Upload Documents tab. Here you can drag and drop or upload your document. Once the document is scanned, its status will change to processed and it can then be converted to a bill. You will be redirected to the new bill page. The details in scanned document will be matched with the corresponding purchase order. For all matched line items, information such as the purchase order number, quantity ordered, rate per unit will be available in the order details column. If the scanned details of any line item do not match the corresponding purchase order, you can click Mark as non-PO item next to the line item, enter the required details and save as draft. A bill will then be created and the corresponding purchase order will be associated with it. Bill reconciliation is one of the most important features available in the BillPay add-on. It helps you avoid overpaying for purchase orders by verifying bills against purchase order and purchase receipt. To cross-check the bill amount against the total item quantities and prices in previously created purchase order, you can utilize bill reconciliation feature within the BillPay add-on of Zoho Books application. This automatically compares the items in the bill with those in purchase order and flags any discrepancies, allowing you to verify them and make necessary corrections. So to utilize this feature, you'll first need to enable it by navigating to Settings, Purchases, Bills, and toggle the Enable option. Once enabled, bill transaction will be validated against their associated purchase order and receives. Furthermore, the BillPay add-on also offers the capability to compare all three purchase transactions such as purchase order, receipt, and bill transaction. This process is commonly known as three-way matching. Alternatively, if you compare only bills and purchase orders based on item prices or quantities, this is referred to as two-way matching. This allows you to update prices or item details on the bill and ensure correct payments to your vendor. If you navigate to the bill created from a purchase order and a purchase receipt, you can see the aforementioned details related to the three-way matching. If there is an item or a price detail mismatch between these transactions, the system will flag an error regarding the item count or price difference, allowing you to make the necessary changes to resolve discrepancies. Batch payments available in the BillPay add-on allows you to make payments for the bills of multiple vendors simultaneously. You can create a payment batch, export it, and upload it into your bank portal to execute the payment. Once completed, you can mark the batch as processed in Zoho Books, which updates the status of the associated payments. Furthermore, after creating a batch, you have the option to submit it for approval and obtain the necessary authorization before exporting and uploading it into your bank portal. So to create a batch payment for multiple vendors simultaneously in Zoho Books, navigate to Purchases section on the left sidebar and click on Batch Payments. Then click on the plus new button in the option. In that, the form appears. You'll have to provide a unique batch name. And to identify this payment batch, a unique batch number will be auto-generated for your reference. Next, select the paid through account you will be using for these payments. And then select the payment date on which the payments will be made. The aforementioned options available in the BillPay add-on will be helpful in managing your business effectively. So you will have to select the bills for which you wish to record the batch payment and hit on next. and update the bank details so that you can have it exported out from your Zoho Books organization and proceed further. The aforementioned options will be available in your BillPay add-on, will be very useful in managing your business effectively. To purchase this BillPay add-on, you will need to navigate to Settings, Organization, and Manage Subscription, which will redirect you to the Zoho store page. From there, you can purchase the add-on. We would also like to bring to your notice that you can receive up to 100 ACH vendor payments and 100 document autoscan licenses for your organization when you purchase the BillPay add-on, which would be an added advantage. Alright everyone, we have now covered the various features and the recently launched BillPay add-on in the Zoho Books application. You might have some questions about the topic we have discussed so far, so please feel free to ask away.